Hello. Today I'm going to braid my hair. And I'm going to do this because I think I'm going to the beach tomorrow. And when I go to the beach, I really like to have my hair out of my face. I just think it's a lot better when it's under control. Because you can see here I have a lot of hair. And when all of this gets wet, it's kind of a tangled mess. So it's really for the best that I get it braided and all under control. It also has an unfortunate tendency to drip red all over the place as well, or it's actually more of a pink color when it gets wet. So, braiding it won't stop that from happening, but it'll keep it a little bit more under control. So we're just going to start off by brushing it out. I already brushed it a little bit earlier, so it shouldn't take too long. Just get it nice and smooth because it always tangles when I braid it. But if it's a little bit smoother, it won't tangle quite as much. Trying to brush it nicely and not tear anything. You should always start from the bottom and work your way up to the top. Sometimes the bigger ones you can work at with your fingers a little bit. Almost there. Alright. I think that's good. Oops. It's not good when you hear that snaring sound. You want to hear as little of that as possible. Alright. So now that that's done, I am just going to separate my hair into two sides, and I'm just doing that with my finger to get two halves, because I like to do two braids. I've done one sometimes, and I just like the two braids a lot better. So I'm just going to divide it up. And then I'm going to start the braid on this side of my head. Now it's a little confusing for me to look at this way because I can see myself on the computer monitor, but it's not mirroring it, it's showing it the right way around. So it's a little confusing to look at. But it's okay, I can kind of do it by feel as well. So I'm just going to start off with a little section here. And I'm going to divide it into 3 different pieces. And I usually like to do a reverse French braid, which I think it's a little bit tighter of a braid and it'll work better for going to the beach and getting kind of messy and knocked around by the waves a little bit. So all you do is pick up a little bit of hair each time you do the braid. And I just do a lot of this sort of motion to smooth it out as I'm going along. To try to not end up with a bunch of like bumps in the braid. It took me a while to get the hang of braiding myself. I learned from videos years ago, but the first several times that I did it, they ended up looking really funny because it's really hard to get the tension just right. It's sort of like if you've ever done a yarn craft, if you've ever like crocheted, it's easier to learn what to do and harder to learn how to keep the tension on the string just right. And it's just like that with braiding. That it's difficult to get the tension just right. But once you figure it out, once your fingers sort of learn what they're doing, it's a lot easier to just do it. Some people know how to braid other people's hair and don't really know how to braid their own, which I always think is interesting. I can do both, but I usually just braid my own hair. Sometimes my sisters ask me to braid their hair for them. Alright. I'm sort of trying to see how it looks in the monitor there. I think it might end up a little bit different looking than usual because it's a little harder to see it clearly, but that's okay. It'll still do the job. It'll still keep it out of my face. Yeah, and when you're braiding, you can sort of get different types of braids depending on how much hair you pick up at a time. That if you go really slowly and just pick up a tiny bit of hair at a time, it'll be like a really fine, tight braid, and if you pick up a ton of hair at a time, it'll be more of a thick, chunky, looser braid. And I think I'm kind of doing a medium tension size braid right now, which I usually prefer. Sometimes I have done it where I spend a really, really long time on each braid, but I don't know that it necessarily looks better when you do that. I find the same thing with makeup sometimes too, that sometimes the more time you spend on it, I don't know, the more overdone it looks, and it's just not quite as good. Sometimes I feel like I do my best makeup when I'm in a rush getting ready for work. And sort of the same thing with braiding. It depends though. Alright. Getting close to being done with this one. I really like the feeling of it when it gets like nice and tense there. Although I don't really like too much tension. I used to do a ponytail all the time growing up, and now if I do a ponytail at all, it gives me such a headache. I really have a hard time dealing with it. I don't know why that is. Same thing will happen if I put it up in a bun. I've got so much hair now that a bun is really, it's not such a good idea for me, but I'll do it sometimes if I'm in a rush, if my hair's really messy. But it really, really puts a lot of pressure and tension right up on the top of my head. So I think if I wanted to really do buns again, I'd have to have quite a haircut. It's funny though, because it used to be really long. It used to go all the way down to my knees, so this isn't even that long for me. Okay, so now we're sort of getting into the tail part of the braid, so I can start to bring it around the front. And like I said, it gets a little bit tangly as you braid it. I'm feeling, because I think there's like a little loose piece there. Maybe I can sweep it into the other side though. Alright, so we've got this side now. I'm just going to try to feel it out because the monitor video is confusing me. Alright, here we go. And this part I can do pretty quickly. It really is like a matter of muscle memory. I don't feel like I actively think too much about this part at all. Just twist them around. Alright. So there we go. With one braid done. I love how nice and clean it looks when I first do it. So I've got a little hair tie here on my wrist. I'm just going to, the smaller one would be better. This one is like, it's a giant one, but I can always switch it out if I find a smaller one lying around. Okay, so that's done. It looks pretty good. Now I've got a whole other side of the head to do. So I always think this would be funny to do as a hairstyle. I think I like symmetry too much to really ever seriously do that. Oh, I forgot my cat was back there. Jasper's napping behind me. That's not my chair, that's really his chair. He actually gets really offended sometimes if anyone else tries to sit in the chair. I've sat in the chair before, and he'll flop himself down in front of it and just sort of look up at me with this really disdainful cat expression, which it's his right as a cat to feel that way. Alright, so it's time to start the other side now. So just like before, I section it off into 3 little pieces, and the first time is the only time that you don't pick up that extra hair. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure I've really explained super well as I've been going along. There are probably way better braiding tutorials out there if you really want to learn to braid. Sometimes I get confused as I'm going, and which side did I just pick up from? From towards the head. Okay, so this is the side that I'm picking up. Alright, so now I start to cross them over. Trying to make sure that's right. It's crazy how easily I get disoriented by looking in a reflection like this that's not acting like a mirror. Alright. Now, you know what? I think I actually need to start this side over again, but that's okay. This happens kind of frequently. Not too much, but you make mistakes sometimes. It's better to catch them early on. It's one of the reasons why brushing it out is so important before you start. That I've gotten almost all the way through braid before, and it'll get so tangly that I have to sort of abandon it and start all over when I'm so close to being done. Okay. I think I know what I'm doing now. Alright, pick up some from this side. Alright. And then a little bit from the other side here. I'm really excited to go to the beach though, because I have not gone at all this summer. I really like the ocean. I'm not too big of a fan of bright sunlight because I tend to sunburn kind of easily, and I don't know, I've just always been a little bit more of a cloudy day person, really. And it's not just because I like some gloomy things. It's, I actually had an eye doctor tell me I had kind of large pupils and that they let in a lot of light, and that's probably why I'm a little bit sensitive to bright sunlight. But I am willing to go out in the sun if I get to enjoy the ocean, because it's really just a magical place to be. I think I was 9 the first time I ever saw the ocean, and it was just such a spectacular thing. And so relaxing too. I feel like any tension that you have, if you just go like float on your back in the water, just kind of all rushes away from you. Alright. Hopefully it's symmetrical. It's looking actually pretty close to the part on this side. I'm better at getting it symmetrical when I'm looking in a mirror, really, but it's okay. I'm always willing to redo it if it's so asymmetrical that it looks funny. Okay. Sometimes asymmetry can be nice, though. It depends. It's always fun as well when you have your hair braided and you swim in salt water. If you don't take the braids out and wash them right away, if like you wait for them to dry and then unbraid them, it's they get like really wavy. It looks cool. I like that. My hair is naturally pretty straight, especially when it gets long. It's very straight. But I've always liked leaving it in braids for a couple of days and undoing them, and then just having like really wavy hair. It's fun. I've even like put hairspray on it sometimes when it's like that to make it like gigantic hair, but that's honestly sort of a pain to rinse out when it comes time to shampoo it, so I don't use a whole lot of product in my hair. I don't really use much at all apart from my hair dye. Okay. Yeah, something that happens sometimes when you've got your hands above your head for this long, they start to cramp up a little bit. It's not too bad, but I am looking forward to finishing it up. Another reason I like to braid it for going to the beach is that having hair on my neck is just so warm sometimes. It can be nice in the winter because it's almost like having like a big shawl to carry around with you when you've got a ton of hair. Earlier on in the summer, I was driving with my sister. She was driving in her car, and her car did not have air conditioning. It had broken, and my hair was down, and we were driving for like 45 minutes, and I just braided my hair right then and there because I was just dying of heat. So it's a good skill to have, to be able to tame your hair if you need to. Alright. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit asymmetrical, but we'll just go with it for now. We're almost finished, I think. Just one or two strands or groups of strands to pick up. And then we can do the tail, which, as you saw before, I can do pretty quickly. Okay. Last little bit. And the part at the base is the part I always have a little bit of the hardest time with, just keeping it nice and tense. Like I was saying before, tension is one of the hardest things to master with braiding, and for whatever reason, it sometimes will get a little bit loose down there if I don't pull it nice and tight, if I don't keep on top of it. But I've definitely gotten better at it. I've been braiding for over 10 years. Let's see. Sometimes it confuses me when I take it from the back of my head to the front, whether I'm going overhand or underhand or overhand, but I got it. I figured it out. Alright. You know what? It's not that asymmetrical. I don't think I'll redo it. I think I like it. Just continuing to smooth with my fingers a little bit. All the little knots that happen. Alright. Okay. And now just the final step. Just tie it off. And look at that. I've got 2 braids now. It's all under control. I'm ready to go to the beach. So, yeah, I am pleased with this, and hopefully it was fun or relaxing to watch me braid my hair. Thank you for watching if you did, and I hope you have a really good day.